Hello, good evening and welcome to the program. This is your favorite destination for all political discourse within and outside Nigeria. This is Sunday Politics coming to you live on Trust TV. My name is Abdullahi Ahmed. Nigeria stands precariously on the brink, rocked by the dual hammers of economic strain from the recent fuel subsidy removal and a pervasive sense of leadership failure. The past 10 days have served as a damning indictment of a faltering political system that is falling short of meeting the expectations of its 200 million strong populace. Frustration and discontent have become the prevailing sentiments across the nation. Amidst this turbulent landscape, a prominent figure has stepped into the fray, issuing a stark warning of impending instability should those in power fail to alter their course. Now, former President Olusegun Obasanjo's admonition has struck a chord with many Nigerians who see his words as a validation of their concerns, while others question the efficacy of his approach while citing a lack of concrete solutions. Now, as the nation grapples with these challenges and weighty issues, the question looms large. Is Obasanjo's message a harbinger of much-needed change or mere rhetoric in the face of Nigeria's uncertain future? Bring in our panel for tonight's discussion. Iliyasu Gadu is a political and public affairs commentator and has joined us to help unpack and navigate some of the issues. We'll, during the course of the discussion, also be joined by a founding member of the APC and political commentator much later on. Well, to set the ball in motion, let's recap some of the thoughts of Nigeria's former president, Olusegun Obasanjo, who had quite a lot to say about the state of affairs.
That character permission, which is constitutional. So, what are we talking about? Look at, in your own case, with all due respect, you are not supposed to fix your salary or your allowances. It's supposed to be done by the revenue mobilization and what
Fiscal commission, revenue mobilization and fiscal commission.
Okay. But you decide to pay yourself the allowances that you give yourself, newspaper allowances, pound allowances, sheeting allowances, to give yourself all sorts of things, with all due respect. And you know it's not right. It is not right. It is not right for me to be the one to determine what I pay myself. It's immoral. And then you are doing it. The Senate is doing it. And you beat your chest. And in some cases, even the executive give you what you are not entitled to. You all got 200 million naira. When we were talking about the suffering of the people who put you there, on top of the obscene salary and allowances you give yourself, you got 200 million naira. It's not right. It's not fair. It's not good for this country. So, this is the thing we have to do. How do we ask people to suffer? And those people who are suffering, please bear with us when you are not showing any sacrifice. And I'm not showing any sacrifice. You are what you are. I am what I am because I'm a Nigerian. Those people out there are Nigerians. They are entitled. So let us look at things that way. For me, that is what we have to do. And as I've said, and I will keep saying it, we are all sitting on a keg of gunpowder, all of us. If we continue to do what we are doing, which is disregarding the interest of the common man.
The thoughts and views of Nigeria's former president Olusegun Obasanjo. They're speaking to a group of lawmakers from Nigeria's House of Representatives. He did say a lot more than what you just heard there, but we're going to do our best to unpack some of the messaging, the positions of the former vice president, which, according to some Nigerians, is reflective of the reality of what the most populous black nation in the world is going through, and a majority of its citizens, especially considering the current socio-economic climate in the country. Let me reintroduce my guest. Iliyasu Gadu is a political and public affairs commentator. He will be helping us navigate some of those issues there. First and foremost, good evening and welcome to the program. Let me get your initial reactions to the thoughts of Nigeria's former president, I beg your pardon. He's one who is known for not keeping his thoughts to himself. He's always going to air his views on a national stage. What are your thoughts about what the former president had to say?
Well, first of all, good evening, Nigerians, and I'm glad to be here with you. We've seen what the former president, Olusegun Obasanjo, has had to say about the situation in the country. It is quite apt and it is quite timely, because we've just emerged from 10 days of rage, so to speak, and it speaks of the situation we find ourselves in the country today, which is that our people are living in hunger, are living in deprivation, in tribulation. And this is a message to the government, not just the federal government, but the state governments, the local governments, and the legislature, and all arms of government, that it is time to heed the anger that people have shown, to learn the lessons. Unfortunately, the reaction or the responses of the government have not been quite enough. The people have a right to protest. They have the right to protest to show their feelings about what's going on in the country, and they should have been allowed to do that without let or hindrance. Of course, one or two things, untoward things happened that weren't so good. The cases of people looting shops and all that, it was not part of the plan. But as for going on demonstrations to show their anger, their feelings about the country, is quite germane and it's quite timely, and the government's reaction to it has not been quite, responsive enough. And I think President Obasanjo has been doing that. Even during the military government, he has had cause to come out, to say things like this, to be able to say, look, we need to. I remember one time he even said, during the Babangida administration, military administration, that we need a government with a human face. And of course, that was poignant in those days, and it is still poignant now, because we are still where we are. In fact, far worse than when he spoke those words, those phrases. Some
of the former president's critics say the messenger, because of his political and partisan biases, has contaminated the message. What do you think?
Well, there could be truth in that. In fact, there is, because Obasanjo himself has not been a model in many ways of a response to people. During his time, there are quite a number of issues that he didn't attend to, but by and large, he has been quite a lot of things were done during his time that were actually, in response to people's, demands and people's feelings. He didn't seek to disallow people to come out, and he did quite some things he did that quite tried to alleviate some of the problems we had at the time. Yeah, it's true, Obasanjo's role in other areas in Nigeria have not been quite commendable or quite a model, but we shouldn't ignore that the messages he has said, it may be opportunistic. In fact, it is opportunistic of him, but we can't forget what he's saying, because that's the reality. Whether we try to look at the messenger or what, the message is apt and is correct and it's timely and has to be heeded by the government, by authorities in this country.
He was talking to a group of lawmakers there, and it was quite bold of him, obviously as a political father figure to most of them, if not to the country entirely, to call out the gaps that exist politically, especially with regards to how the political elites have performed below expectation. He was talking about how, in the midst of this, austerity that Nigerians are going through, the people at the very top of government are living large in opulence, so to say, which contradicts the message that we've been hearing, whether it's from the president or from the governors or from the administration generally, about people needing to make sacrifices. How existential are some of the things that he had to point out there? Because towards that last minute from that clip, he was talking about how Nigeria is sitting on a keg of gunpowder, and that is quite an alarming thing to say, isn't it?
Yeah, I think if you want to put it in perspective, what happened with the nationwide protests is more or less like a shot across the bow. I mean, in figurative terms, that means that, look, you are shooting an arrow, or rather a shot, across the bow of a ship, which is to say, it's a warning sign. And these warning signs have been, communicated in one way or the other, several ways, to this government. And of course, functionaries of government who are responsible, who have the responsibility, from the president to the governors, to the local government officials, to the legislature, the Senate and House of Representatives, have tended to look at it dismissively. But then, of course, when people are feeling the pangs of hunger, they cannot, afford some of the things they require for their daily existence. Basic things, really. And they see the price of things that are supposed to be within reach going out of the reach. And hunger is really, really, hitting at them. Then you don't need anybody to tell you that one of these days, this anger would metamorphose into something. And what we saw the past 10 days was part of it. Of course, as I said again, some of the things that happened, were unfortunate, were regrettable. But the hunger is still there, the anger is still there, and the government has to really take the lessons from what has happened in the past 10 days and make amends. After all, you as Mr. President, you are ruling Nigerians. You are not ruling a bunch of, people from outer space. You are part of us. And when people say, look, we are groaning, we are feeling the harsh effects of your policies, it's up to you to sit down and have a discussion, honest and genuine discussions. And at the end of the day, you are not an island. You are part and parcel, integral part of this country. And you are also there by the same people who voted for you. So you must listen to them. You cannot say, oh, we must go ahead with this. At the end of the day, when people get to the point where they cannot stomach the hunger anymore, they'll go back. And some of them actually you saw on the TV were even saying it's better to die by bullets than to die by hunger. Now, when it gets to that point, it shows that something is wrong. And I didn't like the way Mr. President really handled it, because it was dismissive. Let's not forget, he led...
I mean, the president, to be fair, acknowledged that he understands what Nigerians are going through. Is that not enough?
No, that's not enough. That's
sign
not enough.
To show that
there were demands. There were demands by the demonstrators that, look, adjust some of the policies you have made. For instance, they pointedly demanded that readjust the subsidy removal. It's not the first. It's not rocket science. It's not the first time it's done. It's done. In 2012, the president then, Goodluck Jonathan, adjusted the price of the subsidies that he raised. I mean, the increase in the price of petrol that he raised. Now, you are saying there must be sacrifices by Nigerians, yet you have the largest cabinet ever. Then there's a lot of profligacy. There's a lot of, as President Obasanjo has said, a lot of untoward expenditure on the part of government. You are buying a new jet, you are buying yachts, you are doing all kinds of things. The legislature, some of you in the Senate and House of Reps are going home with all kinds of remunerative package that are mind-boggling. At the end of the day, you cannot at least divert, you cannot address some of these issues, redeem some of these issues that they're talking about, and then we can begin to see, yes, you are listening. But to acknowledge it is one thing. You are the source, you are the origin of some of these issues. You should be able to say, yes, I acknowledge it, and in view of that, I'm going to do this. Immediate, low-hanging fruits. You didn't do that.
A lot of experts, domestic and international, have already foretold of what's to come I mean, if we could go back as far back as 2012, even before Occupy Nigeria, for instance, remember the coordinating minister of the economy, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, then talked about, this day coming. Might not necessarily have, characterized it in this particular manner, but she was talking about the rainy days where it will come and then we're not going to be ready for it. A lot of people have foretold this happening because of the trajectory the government has taken over the years, whether it's federal or subnational governments, in regards to our debt profile, in regards to our reckless spending, so to say, and, structural issues around unemployment, around poverty, around the economy and things like that. For some, the reaction from political figures, whether it's Atiku Abubakar or Peter Obi or any other political figure like Olusegun Obasanjo, the former president, for instance, are trying to give a dog a bad name in order to hang it, because this problem would have still existed regardless of who is the president of this country at this moment.
No, but it needs innovation. I mean, when it needs innovation and creativity, there's never a situation that cannot be remedied, that cannot be...
You're saying there is no inevitability with regards to where we are right now?
Yeah, well...
That something could have changed the trajectory?
Exactly. Look, some of the things, okay, now, let's look at the reasons, the excuses given for removal of subsidy. It is to, put together, to the savings that you're going to make from there. You want to do certain things, interventions in health, education, and all that. Now, where has been the interventions in health? You've made a savings of about trillions of naira and all kinds of things. Where have you applied those savings from? What have you done to alleviate healthcare issues in the country? What have you done to alleviate education in the country? Concretely, I'm not talking about polemics. I'm talking about concrete. I'm talking about reeling out programs that you have conceived. I'm talking about the here and now. What have you done? Nothing. The people out there have been hearing this, okay, have patience, we're going to, do something about it and all that. They still see things happening that is getting out of hand. And they cannot continue to stay in sacrifice while things are not being remedied. We are talking about tweaking some of the issues on ground and say, okay, I'm going to pare down the ministerial positions that I have. You have about over 50 ministers.
Are you saying the government is bloated as things stand right now?
Yes, of course it is. This is the first time we've had more than 50 ministers, for God's sake, in a situation where we have austerity.
I don't think it's up to 50. I think it's about 49.
That's the difference between 6 and half a dozen, isn't it?
Well, 50 is quite exact, isn't it?
Yeah, so.
Right.
So, but 49 and 50, what the hell is the difference anyway? But what I'm saying is that it is on record to be the largest cabinet in the history. And the president, in the midst of all this, the president is still making appointments, while the president did not even address at least some of the issues. Didn't even give the people the benefit of doubt. As okay, yes, I've heard you, I've acknowledged what you're doing, immediately I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and at least to assuage the rage. He didn't do that, and then it increased the rage that, look, this man is not serious. He's actually just looking at us as a bunch of rabble-rousers, and at the end of the day, we'll either take it or we leave it or we lop it.
Isn't that one of the hallmarks of leadership, to take unpopular decisions with a view of protecting public interest? Because we understand that even before the Tinubu administration came on board, the Buhari administration was going to go ahead with subsidy removal. It has only made plans up until the month of June, for instance, last year, before subsidies will elapse. And we've talked about removal of fuel subsidy for such a very long time. Isn't President Tinubu doing exactly what most Nigerians have over the years said, listen, this is not sustainable and it is not going to be something that we can keep doing going into the future. So we need to take this red pill. Aren't we blaming him for doing the most obvious thing that we need to do to safeguard our future?
I just said it just moments ago, that the devil is in the details. Yes, you need, sometimes as a leader, you need to take unpopular decisions, but you also need to mitigate them when it is necessary, because you are looking for the solutions that will, at the end of the day, not make it hard on people. You are not, as I say, you are not ruling people from outer mass. You are ruling people, human beings with needs, with demands, with requirements, everyday requirements. And if you have an economic policy that cannot at least keep people alive, that cannot at least keep people, get people at least to eat once in a day, then it's not. And then when, again, while you are taking that so-called unpopular decisions, you are also helping or encouraging profligacy. You are encouraging, you are pairing money from people and applying it to areas that would not be productive. Now, how can you explain that? People will look at it and say, this man is actually trying to rob Peter in order to pay Paul. And that's what really is happening. If people are demanding that, look, we need you to do this, okay, we support you if you remove the subsidies, fine, yes, we support you, but we want to see you apply it in productive areas, not in ostentation, not in opulence.
Well, some of those funds, the ones that we've saved or that we didn't spend on subsidy, for instance, because, there's another debate about whether subsidy has actually been removed 100% or not, are going to the coffers of the state governments, right? They're earning more now because of this subsidy removal. So isn't the fair question to ask, what are the state governors doing on their own part to be a part of the solution, because they are certainly getting more from the federation account. And now we have, quote unquote, financial autonomy for local councils. Isn't it time for us to zoom out and focus on the 3 tiers of government, their functionality or dysfunctionality, as the case may be, with regards to delivering the dividends of democracy? Aren't we hyper-focused on the office of the president for everything?
There are two
solutions?
issues. There are two answers to this question. The first answer is that, as I'm talking to you now, a few of the governors are denying, have come out publicly to deny that these monies have been sent to them.
Not just the interventions, for instance.
Yes.
I'm talking about federal allocations. We've seen the data.
Yes.
Some of them astronomically are getting as much as 50% increase in their federation accounts allocations monthly. Isn't that enough sign to say, listen, these are the rewards or the outcome of subsidy removal, which should translate into the governments at state level doing more for the people?
Yes, you are quite right on that. In fact, that's a very, very germane point. It's something that has to be, taken into account while discussing about the hunger and the hunger issues in the country and the deprivations. But again, the source of these funds is the federal government. Now, you don't give such humongous amount of money to state government without monitoring it. You are not going to tell them what to do with it, but you monitor it, and you ensure that what is meant for what the monies are meant for are done. In this case, the federal government keeps telling us, yes, we have given this much, we'll give the billions, trillions, and all that, but you have not even done anything to ensure, or at least you've not done quite enough to ensure that the government, the subnationals, apply it the way they should be applied.
And constitutionally, can the president force any governor to do anything?
That's what I'm saying. The president cannot force anybody, but you should monitor how the money is going.
But do you think Nigerians are hyper-focused on the presidency to get the job done on all fronts, including the things that subnationals or even local councils are supposed to do?
Yeah, well, of course. If the Nigerian people focus a lot on what the government is doing or what it should do, it shouldn't be surprising, because the federal government is the one that looms large over. It looms large over the state governments, and it looms large over the local government. And it is the source from which the money is coming. So at the end of the day, yes, Nigerians, have a reason to be focused on the federal government. And, the way we operate in this country, the federal government is like the father. And in some cases, in fact, the federal government, if it looks at the statutes and the law, there are areas in which the federal government has actually the right to intervene. Maybe not directly, but at least to ensure that some of these things are done. To make sure that, once there are reports or there are issues regarding state government not doing what they're doing, you could intervene in a way that would make the people of those states to be able to say, look, hey, the federal government said this about how much is being given to you, but you've not done it. They could encourage some of these debates to come up and put the governors on the spot. But mom is the word.
Right, and perhaps also Nigerians are not interested in holding some of those governors to account, because a significant portion of the monies available for public use is with the subnationals, if you put everything together. But if we could just go back to some of the comments made by former President Olusegun Obasanjo with regards to the National Assembly. Of course, if you heard some of the submissions that he made while speaking to that group of lawmakers from the House of Representatives, the Nigerian Senate has replied through the Chairman Senate Committee on Media and Public Affairs, Senator Adaramodu from Ekiti South, and he said that submission is false, that the 10th Senate is responsible and responsive chamber, hence would not do anything that can harm the economy and the growth of the people. Without necessarily over-focusing on the Obasanjo years, for instance, how true are some of the comments that he's making? Because some of the members that he was speaking to there all agreed to cutting their salaries by 50% last month, only for Nigerians to find out that, you know, they got their full pay when they were paid for the month of July. Do you think there is some level of dishonesty or disingenuity with the approach of some of these lawmakers who are trying to appear to be on the side of Nigerians when it's about rhetorics, but in reality, they could care less, so to say?
Yeah, the facts speak for themselves. It's a matter of rhetorics, as we said. And, you know, we all know that, you know, it's easier said than done. And some of these pronouncements by by legislators and some people who are involved in the whole thing are just talk. They are not really, they don't walk the talk. And then in any case, how much is the salary of a legislator? It is in the allowances. That's where the details are. The allowances, some of them are just not necessary. You could go in and cut some of these allowances.
Do you think in a time like this, for instance, whether it's the president or the lawmakers just realizing themselves that, you know, it is not fair, it is not morally right to earn this much in light of what the majority of the population, do you think that, you know, this is something that we can pursue? Or is it something that is a lost cause, so to say? Well,
it's not a lost cause, because we're talking about public responsibility. Because these are public people. These are people voted in by the same people who are agitating for fairness in the distribution of resources. So it's a legitimate demand, and it's not something that you know, the legislators or the public officials should play footsie with, because at the end of the day, you would not, you are representing the people. You are supposed to feel for them. You are supposed to, you know, have empathy for them. And once in 4 years, you are going to come back to them to ask them for their votes. And if you didn't do what the needful, definitely they will ask questions. And if they don't vote you, well, you have yourself to blame. So what the people are asking is correct, but yeah, apart from just making, you know, making you know, rhetorical noises, we want to see it in reality.
What could the National Assembly, or even state assemblies, for that matter, do differently or effectively to address the failures within the system, in your view? What do they need to do that you think they're not doing right now?
First of all, they should, since the president has not seen it fit to address some of the issues that, you know, that the public demanded out there.
There's a 10 billion for CNG buses going to the 36 states of the federation. Isn't that enough movement to suggest that the federal government is actually trying to ameliorate the pains of the masses?
There were statements about 26 bags of, 26 truckloads of bags to...
We understand that some of the states have actually received them.
Most of the states have not received them. And those that have received them, they received them in bits and pieces.
Is there a glass half full version that you see from what we're seeing right now? Or is it all just bad news as far as...
What I see is rhetorics. What I see is people who do not want to, you know, feel for the people. What I see is public officials trying to, you know, retain their the cushions they have at the expense of the people. What I see is people just dismissing the whole thing as just a matter of a puff of air, and that, well, after all said and done, they will expend themselves.
Isn't there also an element of politicizing this entire demonstrations? Because some of the obvious voices, opinion leaders who have shared their voices on this one, we knew where their loyalties or support was in 2023. They either supported the Labour Party or they supported the People's Democratic Party in the elections, or some of them were quite ambivalent about who they wanted to support, or some of them were even members of the APC. But don't you also think that there is an element of politicizing the frustrations of the nation against the Tinubu administration?
But is that a crime? Is that a crime if they? But
that muddies the water, doesn't it? Well, it means the conversation is sensationalized in a way so that it can be weaponized against the administration.
So then what the government should do is to dull the weapons. Because people will talk about it anyway. Politicians will use any opportunity. Even the failure of Nigerians in the Olympics would also be a political issue. With politicians, everything is politicized. Everything is a political issue. Even a personal relationship with in family relations, a politician would make it a political issue. But as a government that wants to show that it is responsive, it must do what it must do to be able to assuage the people, especially if they came up with such verve, with such anger, with such expressions of what they feel. It's as a responsible political ruling government, countenance the rantings of the political opponent and do what is right. What the people want is they're not interested in politics, they're interested in delivery. You go and talk. 2027 it's coming up, so let all those issues solve themselves. But now people want food at affordable prices. They want the price of things affordable to them. That's not the issue about whether Party A or Party B is cashing in on this or not. That's not their problem, really.
Right. Okay. Let's get your thoughts on this one. Beyond just the protests, beyond just the demonstrations, the former president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, has weighed into the conversation in an address to some National Assembly members of a caucus from the House of Representatives, where he highlighted some of the existential threats and issues affecting Nigeria and indeed Nigerians. Let's get your thoughts on this one. What do you make of the former president's contributions with regards to the state of the nation? Join the conversation if you can. The number is showing on your TV screen. Would love to hear your thoughts on this one. A quick reminder, rules of engagement. Please turn down the volume of your TV set while calling in and be as articulate and as concise as you can with your thoughts and contributions so that we can get as many as possible to join the conversation. So 10 days, the past 10 days has been dramatic, we've seen the good, we've seen the bad, we've seen the ugly side of these protests or demonstrations. Do you think, in hindsight, this experience has been worth it?
To a very large extent, it's been worth it. I think the government should not have been so hysteric at the beginning, before the protest took place.
Okay, just a moment there, so we can speak to our first caller. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Sunday Politics. Your name and where you're calling from. Hello, good evening. Okay, we lost that connection. Feel free to call back again. The number is showing on your TV screen. Let's speak to our next caller. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Welcome to the program. Your name and where you're calling from, please.
Yes, my name is Do Good. I'm calling from Port Harcourt.
You're going to have to come again. The name, please?
My name is Do Good.
Do Good. Do Good. I love that name.
From Port Harcourt, yes.
How is Port Harcourt this evening?
Everywhere is cool. Everywhere is cool.
Good. Go ahead. Let's have your contribution.
Yes. Yes. What I want to contribute is that that guest there is almost saying what's supposed to be done to put Nigeria in a difficult mood. Now, NEPA has increased their tariff. gas, we are using only gas, we are not producing again no more. Gas we are using that they're increasing part of gas that nobody can even able to buy it anymore. Talk about food, talk about fuel. Everything is high in the top price. Let them bring them down so we can live well. That's the board of contention. They should bring gas price down. Gas is being passed from our backyard here in Bonny River. That's where the gas is coming from. Are we putting gas? What is going on with this country? These rulers that are looking for something they will not, when they see it, they will not eat. Please, gas price, electric price, fuel price, bring it down normally, things will be normalized, and bring food. Also, to plan up it all. Security is another big problem for North. Because if there's peace, food will be flowing down here. That's where we have much of agriculture. So eventually, that's the problem. Let them do something. They know what they're supposed to do. If they don't do it, the next one will be like Kenya. Yeah. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you so much. Do good. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Basically pointing out the surge in the cost of living, which has been the new reality for most Nigerians.
I think what he's saying about gas is quite really pathetic, because we have a plant in Bonny, which I used to work for, and you know, it produces about 90,000 metric tons of gas, LPG, liquefied petroleum gas, which in some ways is enough to, you know, supply the needs of the country. But the government has not invested, or rather, we know that there are people who have you know, invited to come as off-takers, but then no infrastructure has been made by the government or private sector to evacuate this gas to Nigerians.
One of the points that made there by former President Olusegun Obasanjo, especially with regards to the whole saga around the Dangote refinery. Let's speak to our next caller. Good evening and welcome to Sunday Politics. Your name and your location, please. Hello, good evening. Good evening.
Good evening. That's Iliyasu from Onisha, Namra State.
Engineer
Ansi from Onisha.
Good evening to you, and how is Onisha this evening?
Fine, I'm saying cool.
Go ahead, please.
Yes. What I'm trying to ask that, does it mean that there's two agitations and requisitions from all those agitators? Does it mean that nobody who can talk to the president, or does it mean that he does not see or hear from all those complaints from the public, so that he will know the right thing to do to ameliorate the condition of these people of this country? And we don't continue all this about rubbish off and on all the time, continue to complain over this now hunger issue. Common hunger. I'm calling it hunger common because it's a common thing. The commonest thing a father can do for his children. Now we are dying of hunger, and the president is there doing a lot of things, and even talking about people are dying in the north there, complaining of banditry and all the rest of them. Then he cannot. There's no way he can help to solve this problem. And what is the essence of sitting president they're doing there? What is he doing there?
Are you not satisfied with his response when he addressed the nation?
I'm not satisfied because I need action. I need something practicable. Something practicable to be done. I'm not necessarily talking much about nothing.
Right.
Now that all those senators and all those the high-profile officials in the country that are enjoying our finance, whether to the public are dying of hunger. People are here dying of hunger, and the officers at the high-profile areas are there enjoying. And the people are themselves, the president are watching and seeing that these people dying, and even at the protest level, the police are there shooting people. It's unfair. It's totally unacceptable.
Quite understood.
I totally oppose to that idea. Something must be done. He doesn't know what to do. Let him seek a solution to it. Let him do something.
Right.
But I'm not happy. I'm sorry, sad.
Yeah, I can tell from your voice. Thank you so much, Engineer, for calling in on the program. That frustration is quite palpable, and you can understand it being a sign of millions of other voices that, if given the opportunity, would say, if not the same thing, a lot more about some of those frustrations. But how practical are some of the low-hanging fruits, as you alluded to? Because I mean, some people say, listen, the solutions that we've heard so far, including from the government, is that people who are sitting on the sidelines, the armchair analysts who are oversimplifying what the solution looks like, don't know what it's actually going to take for us to get out of this mess. So we have to go through this the hard way. There is no simple way out of the solution, whether it's price control, whether it's addressing the food shortages or the energy crisis that we're faced with right now. We have to go through a very difficult period before we overcome this.
I said this earlier on, that it's not that people do not appreciate that we have to take some very drastic steps to get out of this. But we need sincerity, we need empathy, we need plans, we need maps. This government came without those things. If you want to implement those plans that you think you have that will help this country on the long run, you need to be able to have within it, plans to tweak and mitigate them as they go. Now, it's not the first time that people have demonstrated in this country regarding increase in price. In 2012, 6 months, just after President Goodluck took power, there was an increase in petrol prices, and the current president, President Tinubu, Ahmed Tinubu, led the protest. The Occupy Nigeria protest, he led it to be able to get the government of the day, which in fact, after some time, acceded to the demands and brought down the prices, and of course brought down the price of the price of petrol that it increased, at least giving succor to people. And then it came up with programs and plans, practicable programs and plans to assuage and to alleviate some of the problems. Now, Mr. President Tinubu, who led the protest in 2012, did not see any reason
Who was
to even...
one of those calling for the protest? I'm not sure if he led the protest.
Yeah, well, it's the same thing, because he inspired the protest anyway. He made speeches. He appeared in some of the rallies. So if he was the most prominent personality in the protest movement, so if I said that he led the process, that itself is a metaphorical way of saying, yes, he was the man behind the protest. Okay, so you can interpret it the way you want to interpret it. But
are you saying, the chickens are coming home to roost with regards to that idea? Because it looks like 2012 was a lifetime ago, isn't
Yes.
it? Looking at the economic trajectory, the indices, and the data available at that point in time, it's safe to say that in 2012 we can afford some of the subsidy. In 2024, I'm not sure the numbers, our books support any kind of long-term support for subsidy in this country.
Yeah, but at the same time, what are you doing with the subsidy? You are buying jets? Is that what the subsidy, the removal of subsidy is meant for? You are paying humongous amount of money to legislators and all that?
Aren't you nitpicking? Because supporters of the administration could say, listen, he has come out with student loans in case people cannot afford to pay for their tuition. There are a variety of other interventions that they're pointing out. Aren't we cherry picking?
No,
what to
we're
talk about?
We're talking about we're comparing apples with apples here. If you say, okay, you are giving a paltry 5 billion to students, as loans, or allocating 5 billion as loans to students, and you are buying jets of how many, of how much? Does that add up? Are they apples and apples? Or you are paying 200 million as President Obasanjo said to legislators, and then you are paying 70,000 naira to
alleges, by the way.
Well, alleges. Okay, yes, okay, I use that term, alleges. You're paying 200 million naira, but what we know is that you are paying much more than that for them in allowance. This is basic, this is understandable, this is realistic, and this is documented. Now you're saying that you're doing all that, at the same time you have to be pressed to be able to pay 70 miserable thousand naira to a worker that can't even afford to buy a bag of rice, that can't even afford to pay his transportation fare to school, to work and back, all kinds of things like that. Are you really serious about what you are saying when you say you are trying to This government said it was coming with a plan. He said to us that he was going to do something. We expected him to do that. If Buhari failed, we did not expect him to fail. And in any case...
What if you say, Iliyasu, if he says this is the plan? It's just that Nigerians don't like the plan, but this is the plan. This is the Tinubu administration implementing the plan that it thinks Nigeria needs in this moment.
But the Tinubu administration was voted for by people. Now, if you want to do such plans, you should take the people. There are people involved in the chain, in the value chain of the economic activities in this country. And their support and their activities are quite important. You need to sit down with them. We are going to do this, we are going to do this. We need your input, we need your... Why the hurry? The manner...
I mean, the voice of the people is the National Assembly. And it's safe to say the National Assembly is on board with the direction that the Tinubu administration is taking this country.
No, but it wasn't, some of the decisions that were taken were not taken to the National Assembly. And because they are acquiesced with...
And if they haven't objected, it means that they support the direction.
No, they didn't say they support it. They didn't say they are not in support. But what we say is that procedure, the normal thing is to bring it to the National Assembly and let us hear from the mouth of the National Assembly.
Subsidy removal?
Yes,
you
why
think
not?
The National Assembly should debate subsidy removal?
But it is part of what? It is an economic imperative in this country. It is affecting everybody, you, me, everybody. So at the end of the day, the courtesy of even discussing it, because it's part of what affects your budget and my budget. It's part of what affects the nation's budget.
It's the same National Assembly that, you know, made provisions for subsidy up until June 2023. So it's safe to say that there was communication about it in the twilight years of the Buhari administration. And when this assembly came on board, it also considered viaments and supplementary budgetary allocations for the Tinubu administration, and they never thought it's a good idea to make provisions for subsidy.
So all the more reason why we should take them to task over it, because the presidency as well as the National Assembly. The National Assembly should have asked the president, hang on a minute, yes, we see what you're trying to do, let's discuss it a bit more, because it affects the people. It affects the people of Nigeria. We can't introduce something that is of hardship, that's going to come of hardship to Nigerians without talking about it. Now, you've let the cat out of the bag. You've let the pigeon out of the pigeonhole. Now everything is going haywire, and then nothing has been forthcoming from the National Assembly. The president is acting as if Nigerians are morons for even questioning why he should do that without.
How so? How did you arrive at that conclusion that he thinks Nigerians are morons?
Because we had the opportunity. This was an opportunity for him to go back. You know, look,
we did talk to Nigerians with respect, appreciating their sacrifice and calling them to exercise a lot more patience as this implementation of the reforms take hold.
In 2012. 6 months after President Goodluck came to power, he introduced he increased the prices. There was no patience from Tinubu and his people. They went to, they inspired, if I may use your perspective, they inspired protests against what the government of the day of that.
Why does this comparison matter in the grand scheme of things? Why are we hyper-focus on the past, for instance?
It matters because the dramatis personae of that event are still alive. So they have the benefit of the doubt and say, when I was there in 2012, this thing happened, and this is what the outcome is.
Is what is happening to the Tinubu administration or to the president, for instance, because he is the commander-in-chief, tantamount to scapegoating? Because, as you have pointed earlier, the governors, the National Assembly, there are a lot of people down the chain of command that should take responsibility, significant responsibility for the current state of affairs. Is the president being scapegoated?
The buck stops on his table.
But that doesn't answer the question. Is he being scapegoated?
Nobody is scapegoating him. He is just appearing to be scapegoated, but nobody is scapegoating. The mere asking of responsibility, the mere asking for empathy should not be seen as scapegoating. In fact, if anything, it should be seen as an escaping of responsibility by the government. So we must not allow him to be able to say he's being scapegoated, because when people you are ruling are feeling the pangs of the policies you have introduced, and they're demanding, or they've been asking you over a year that, look, this thing, let us breathe, man. Give us some succor. And you're saying, hey guys, look, it's done. You cannot stop it. It's going to go. Then people will begin to ask questions like, does this man really feel for us? Is he really our president? Does he feel for this country? What the hell is doing that should give the country, safe, feeling that he's really empathetic to the people. He has not done that. He just merely dismissed it and said, okay, I've had it, and then I'm going to go ahead with what you are saying. Okay, a shot has been sent across his bow. The next time it will not be across his bow, it will be in the midship.
Okay. I don't know whether that is a warning or a threat, but Iliyasu Gadu, thank you so much for joining the conversation tonight. I appreciate you for stopping by as always.
Thank you very much.
And of course, thank you most kindly for joining the conversation and for being a part of the program. We do appreciate you for your time and for your company. We'll be back next week, live and exclusive on Trust TV. My name is Abdullahi Ahmed. From myself and the rest of the team, thank you for your time. I'll see you soon.